Om Shanti. Good afternoon. It's very nice to come together in this format again. I think a lot of people have joined from the retreat that was organized, and it's been a long time since we connected. So these sessions will be a good opportunity for us to come together, practice, create an atmosphere of practice, and look at some of the aspects of the Alokik study. So let's create some time to reflect on our true and immortal form, the form of a tiny point of light. And while practicing, let's get our perspective very clean and accurate. And for this accuracy, let me really be clear that I am not this role and I'm not this character or a nationality or a gender trying to now become soul conscious. But in reality, I am a point of light, I am a soul, and I've come from my world of light. I belong to the unlimited sky, the supreme sky. And from that sky, I, the divine point of light, the invisible being, I've come here on this world stage. And on this world stage, I get a body. And with that body comes labels of gender, labels of nationality, language, color, habits, even personality. The personality of the character is not my personality. And so I've been given all of this. But I am not the body. I'm not anything associated with the body. Every time we use accuracy in our practice, the whole study seems natural. It feels simple. And it comes across as very straightforward. There's nothing to complicate here. On the other hand, if any time I feel I am trying a lot, but this is hard, I'm trying to be loveful, I'm trying to be peaceful, I'm trying to remain calm. This element of trying, it comes with hard work, a lot of labor. And in this study, wherever I feel I have to put in a lot of hard work, There's something for me to check. My perspective is not right. Soul, the tiny point of light, the invisible being, is naturally peaceful. It's normal for the invisible being to be stable, to be free from worries. This is natural and normal. Normal to be a tiny point of light. Normal to belong to the supreme sky. Normal to observe the performance on the physical stage. Very normal to be detached. Very natural not to claim anything. There is no need to try. Don't try to be detached. Soul, the invisible being, does not need to try to be free, try to have gratitude, try to appreciate. There's no need to try. The more I accept my truth, the more I align my mind with this eternal truth. The highest perspective, the most elevated perspective is normal, normal for me. Om Shanti, thank you. So this is a nice image that we have in front of us. And it says that the sky belongs to eagles, even during storms. Yeah, so the sky belongs to eagles, and the eagles, they belong to the sky, vice versa. Even if there's adversity, even if there's storms and challenges, this sense of belonging, this cannot be reversed in any way. The sense of belonging cannot go away. And so it is the same for the souls as well. The invisible beings, they are like eagles. They are like free birds. And freedom with a purpose. You know, free for a purpose. So in ordinary way, in the world, there is a lot of discussion about freedom of speech, freedom of, lots of rights. And using rights is my freedom. Yeah, that's how freedom is interpreted, that when we use our rights, there is there's the understanding that I am free. And so I am free to speak anything, I'm free to post anything, write anything, free to wear anything. And that's the understanding of freedom. But with knowledge, freedom is backed up by wisdom. Now, freedom backed up by wisdom, this is spirituality. This is the beauty of each soul. And so free souls are, when we make this statement that all the invisible beings, they are eagles and they are free. Free from what? Free from, as we said, freedom backed by wisdom. So wisdom is understanding that what we see around us from the physical eyes, whatever we are seeing around us from the mortal eyes, the windows of the body, this is like an ant world. This entire thing that we call a drama, this is an ant world, because there are many characters, there are many roles, and all these characters, in comparison to the souls, they are like ants. And why are all the characters, even right now, this character named Ananya, no, it is talking, it is speaking, but the soul is free. Soul is free because soul can witness this character talking, speaking, moving hands, and the soul, the invisible being, it is free from this entire personality of the character. And every character, when we look at every character or understand that this entire thing is like an ant world, then wisdom, which is the knowledge that we hear, that this world, everything in this world is changing, everything in this world is unpredictable. Actually, applying this knowledge is wisdom. Yeah, actually using this knowledge is wisdom. And when we are told that everything in this world is changing and unpredictable, it is telling us something much deeper, that it doesn't have much value, for anything, for a person. If we know someone, somebody who is, their mood is always fluctuating, their behavior is always changing. Yeah. In our interactions and in our vision towards them, our value sort of, the value of that person, of that somebody, decreases. Yeah, because we know from experience that they keep changing, and there's nothing in their words, they can say something, do something else, and so there's no respect, there's no value. And so when we hear this knowledge of how to view this world, it is actually signaling us that all the knowledge points that we listen to in regards to this physical world, the essence is just one main message, which is that you don't need to value what actually is happening here. So you don't need to value. Watch it, be part of it, observe it, play your role, enjoy the role, enjoy watching it, but don't attach value to it. Yeah. So this understanding, using different techniques to view this world, in this case, an ant world. So vision of an ant is limited. Yes, the vision of an ant is very limited, and an ant can be busy all day. And if you ask an ant, what did you do? It will give you all sorts of stories. I'm so busy. I don't have time for this and that. But if you look from a, higher perspective, then it may have just moved a grain of rice from, A to B. And that's what it calls, being busy. So looking from an eagle perspective, it's really nothing. So all the roles and all the characters, they are like ants. A lot to do, and some ant is, going to Mars and trying to create a, plan to have, water on moon and different things. Lot of things are happening, and it's great to watch it. It's really beautiful to watch all of that, but without attaching value to it. So souls will always remain free from the ant. Yeah, so the role, the mask is like an ant, and the real self is an eagle. And eagle always belongs to the sky, and sky always belongs to eagles. So we all belong to our real world, and our real world belongs to the souls. Only the souls can experience the real world. It is only the soul that can experience the sky, the supreme sky. No, the role cannot experience it. The personalities, different personalities here, they cannot experience it. Till we completely drop those personalities, mask of Ananya, mask of, whatever names there are. Once the soul drops that personality and that mask, I can truly experience the supreme sky. And so this is an easy method to come out of attachments as well. So any comments here? We can type in chat. There are any comments or any reflections here? Did you spend the last 24 hours experiencing to be an eagle? Experiencing that I belong to the supreme sky. I don't need to get caught up in the role with the ants. I can watch them. It's beautiful, to watch. If you, I don't know if you've ever done that, but if you watch a lot, an ant, doing a lot, from one point to the other, it's nice to watch that, but without getting caught up, by remaining free. So that's our practice. Let's practice that for the next one day, to completely belong to the supreme sky. All the souls are meant to be free, free from the drama, free from the world stage. And so this is a nice practice for us, a nice aim. It's a very nice aim. So can we keep that attention for next one day, 24 hours? With this, we'll also study one of the Murlis. So this perspective that the Supreme Being has given us, Baba has given us, and he shares it in the Murlis, through the Murlis. So this is a Murli of 6th of Feb 1969. And in this Murli, Baba says that if we create this vision that the Supreme Being is talking to all the eagles, the invisible points, invisible eagles, the souls. And so with this vision, if we look at these points and if we listen to this will create a nice effect, internally. So the Supreme Being says that the main thing is what you were also told, previously. Stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance and perform actions while being stable in the avyakt stage. So one is the corporeal form, which is this role, which is this mask, and in Sanskrit it's called the vyakt, the vyakti. Baba is saying to stay in the pilgrimage of remembrance and perform actions while being stable in the avyakt stage. So avyakt stage is of the true self, which is beyond all labels. And vyakt stage is being attached to all the labels. So even while performing the role, even while there are some actions to perform, some things to be said, stage is avyakt. Soul is free. And with that, Baba says, children will now have to face a lot. So it's talking to all the invisible eagles in the form of points. And he says, children will now have to face a lot. But the all-powerful one is with you, and so there is no difficulty. And so there is no difficulty. Just like an eagle in the face of a storm, it has to face the storm. I mean, while it's passing through the storm, it has to face it, but there is no difficulty because an eagle has the capability, it has the capacity to use its wing, it has the flight, it has the power, and so even though it has to face, the storm, there is no difficulty in facing the storm. So Baba is signaling that all of you, all of the points, not the characters. Characters don't have to face anything. The role doesn't have to face, but it's the soul. Yeah. So souls have to face a lot, but all powerful one is with you, and there is no difficulty because each soul has the capability and it has the power to face anything that is at the level of this drama. All the souls have to have the power to face any adverse situation or scene in the drama. So there is no soul for which we can say that they are victims, or they are sufferers. Whether I suffer or not, it's up to the individual. But for a fact, each soul has all the powers. It has all the tools, and it is very much capable of facing absolutely anything without being a victim, without feeling like a victim, without feeling like a sufferer. So suffering or not, if there's a situation, who decides, am I going to suffer in it or am I going to learn something from it? Yes, so suffering or not is a choice. And how do we make that choice? It's actually not a very active choice, but it just depends on, it's not a conscious choice, but it depends on the attachments that we have. If we have more attachments, and I haven't worked consciously on getting rid of those attachments, then I don't have the choice, but um, I will feel like I'm suffering. I will feel like a victim. But if I consciously remove these attachments, if I consciously change my perspective, then in that same situation, my mind won't work in a manner that it feels that I am a victim, I'm a sufferer. So Baba says you must all simply pay attention to one aspect. So we just have to simply pay attention to one aspect, to remain, in the flying stage, to remain light, 100% free, just paying attention to one aspect. And what's that one aspect? So there will be many obstructions that you will have to face. What is the obstruction that you have to face? Do you know? So body consciousness is the main thing, but desires will create obstacles in between by opposing you. So Baba is highlighting that you have to face obstruction, you have to face a lot. And what is it that you have to face? So every soul has to face. Do we have to face anything outside? Yeah, from people, from situations. Actually thinking about it, do you have to face anything outside? Do you have to face anything from people, from characters? And because Baba has said that just pay attention to this one aspect, so it's very important for us to understand this. Yeah, so we have couple of no's and we have couple of yes. And so the people who say no, what's the reason for saying no? So just like Baba said, that body consciousness is the main thing, but desires will create obstacles in between by opposing you. So anytime that we feel that this situation is a problem, this person is a problem, so this aspect of this is a problem or this one is a problem, it's only because of my desire. Yeah? I have a desire that situations have to be this way and life outside has to be this way, in a certain way. And this person, whoever we label as a problem, we have a desire from them to be in a certain way. So Baba is saying there is no obstacle outside, but it's only my desires that become obstacle. So you have to face a lot of obstacles, which implies that the constant desires that keep popping in our minds. So we have to tame our mind, we have to consciously educate our mind, because it is for a long period of time, it's being ruled by ego. And even now it's ruled by ego. And ego will have, ego has educated our mind, or let's say, it has taken away all the education from the mind and has created this habit to create desires. So sometimes, someone has an expectation from us. Someone has an expectation from me. And so I'm feeling, trouble, and I'm feeling a lot of stress, or problem. I'm just not, I'm very, you know, I'm very uncomfortable because they have these expectations from me. And if we actually check, it's not their expectations that are making me uncomfortable. It's my expectation of them to not have any expectations from me. That's what's making me uncomfortable. That's what's causing all the stress. If I remove my desire, if I dissolve my desires, they can have a lot of desires from me, but it won't be a problem for me till I have a desire, till I have an expectation for them to not have an expectation from me. So all the discomfort that one feels is only and only because of my own created desires. And so these desires, these self-created desires, are obstacles. So this is a very deep, psychology, deep understanding. So there is a, unfair situation at work or somewhere, and that unfair situation is also part of the drama, and drama doesn't give us this give us a permission that drama has never drama never comes with this label that everything here will be fair. Yeah, everything here will be with the highest principles of fairness and um, justice. Drama is not promising us justice. There is spiritual justice ultimately, but justice outside, that is not what drama is promising us. And so for us to have a desire or have expectations that this should be this way, and this is, not just, I have to raise my voice against injustice, all of that is okay. But I need to understand that any discomfort, any problem that I am feeling is never ever because of anyone else or any situation. It is only because of my desire. With that awareness, someone who is very nice and doing a lot of good things, but this awareness is lost. They don't have this awareness that what is the root of all problems? What is the root of all the problems that I'm facing? Is my desire. Awareness is the main thing. For someone who may not be doing a lot, but this simple awareness, subconsciously, this will bring them back to having attention on their own mind. And once we have attention on this, then all the desires can be removed. So Baba is saying desires will create obstacles in between by opposing you. And specifically which desires? All the desires are obstacles, but specifically which desires? My name should be glorified. I am like this. So wanting name to be glorified, wanting the character to be highlighted. In essence, wanting the role, the character to be highlighted. This is the biggest obstacle. This is the biggest, obstacle, and this obstacle can never be seen by anyone else. It's only me who can see this, or I can ignore it. And once we ignore it, it's a big, big problem. Problems will keep increasing. If we have this urge for this role or character to be glorified, to be highlighted anywhere on this world stage, if we treat it like an object, I'm a trustee of it, everything's in, we will perform actions in a different light, But if there is a desire that this character should be highlighted, it should be highlighted on this world stage. It is the seed for all the problems. Problems like comparison, jealousy, anger, all insecurities start from this distorted view. Because if behind this desire that the character should be highlighted is a deep understanding that I am the character. Yeah, there is a deep conviction that I am this role, I'm this mask. So we can know that I am a soul. I can hear every day that I'm a soul, but the conviction is that I'm this character and my name should be glorified. And so this is a seed for big obstacles. In our spiritual journey, this is like a blind spot. And if we don't see this blind spot, it's like going downhill. So Baba says, why wasn't I consulted about this? Why wasn't I given any value? all these various desires will come in the form of obstacles to oppose you. So remember, I must not have any desires. I have to face everything. If I have any desires, I will not be able to face situations. As soon as we have desires, we don't have the power to face situations because our power is taken away and consumed by questions and complaints that for me to able to fly beyond this situation, beyond this um, external, scene, power is utilized by Ravan in by questioning, by ego in questioning, complaining. And so this is a statement to be underlined. Two statements to underline. First is desires create obstacles. My own desire creates obstacles for me. And secondly, whenever I have desires, I will not be able to face situations. So Baba has been telling you about remembering one thing in order for you to become elevated by having the Avyakt stage. If you imbibe it, you will quickly and easily be able to remain stable in the Avyakt stage. What is it? Baba has been reminding us again and again to imbibe one thing. And what is it? At present, we are guests because we all have to return home. And so imbibe this one perspective. At present, the soul, the eagle, the invisible eagle, the free bird is a guest. And we all have to return home. And even, instead of using we all have to return home, I have to return home. I, the free bird, wisdom is that I have to return home. By considering yourself to be a guest, you will be able to remain stable in a high stage. By considering yourself to be a guest, you will be able to remain in a high stage. If instead of considering yourself to be a guest, you create the slightest difference in this world, you will fall. What is that word? You have to consider yourself to be a guest. So there's a difference. Baba is using two words, and in a different language, in Hindi, they are called guest is Mehman, and the highest stage is called Mahan. So Baba says if you, have this desire for the role to be Mahan, role to be high, highlighted, then you forget that you're a guest and you fall. But if you remember that I am a guest and you imbibe this point and you view everything from this perspective, then automatically the soul becomes on a elevated stage. Soul receives a high status. And what you're wanting in the form of a desire to be highlighted, to be recognized or acknowledged, that happens naturally, but you don't have any desire. So we can't see this for anyone else. We can't check this for anyone else. If someone is being recognized, we don't know if that's a desire or it's coming from this perspective of being a guest. So spirituality is only to be able to check myself. It never gives us the tools to check anyone else because we don't know what's happening inside. Yeah. So for the one who is a guest, he is honored by the world stage. So they are naturally honored by the world stage. And for someone who is in a guest perspective and their role is being highlighted, one of the signs is that they remain beyond the influence of praise. And it is one thing to be beyond the influence of praise, but they're also not influenced by defamation. That's a sign that there is guest consciousness. the perspective is right. If the perspective is not right, and the role is being highlighted, the role is praised everywhere, then I will like all the praise, I will like all the appreciation. But as soon as there is, someone who rejects the character, or someone defames, tries to defame the character, says something about the role which is very unpleasant, that will bother me. Yeah, that will bother, because the understanding is that I am this role. And so when everyone likes the role, saying good things about the role, I'm happy. And as soon as someone says opposite, yeah, they are disliking the role, they say negative comments, negative remarks, then I'm not able to be stable. So Baba says, if you're influenced by praise, you will not be able to become a guest. And if you consider yourself to be a guest, you will become elevated. So there is a slight difference, mehman and mahan, to be a guest and praise. But even the slightest difference brings about a lot of fluctuation. So role is separate, ant is separate, and the eagle is separate. There are two personalities. And ordinarily, we mix the two personalities. We think one is an extension of the other. So this is wisdom, to understand that eagle is a separate personality. It's a different personality, and the ant is a different personality. So at any time, the ant is highlighted and the ant is being praised. Eagle's task, the primary mission, is to remain free. And anytime the ant is rejected and disliked, primary mission for the eagle, for the soul, is to remain free. Because the sky belongs to eagles. So primary mission is for the soul to remain in the highest of experience, which is independent of what's happening with the ant. So there's equanimity, even in defamation or during praises. There is, the mind is stable, the consciousness is stable. And for this, Baba has highlighted that give attention to one aspect, give attention to one point. What was that one point? Yes, to be a guest. Yeah, to imbibe this point of being a guest. And with this guest consciousness, the thoughts naturally have no desires, yeah, no expectations. So primary mission, no matter what's happening in the physical world, anything happening in the physical world at the level of the role is secondary. First, let's get this right. That anything happening at the level of, you know, Peter and Harry and Nancy, this level, this is secondary. The reason why we have created such a world where there is so much sorrow and there is so much suffering is because all the souls together, they have completely made this level, this secondary level, as the primary level. So if there is a lot of success, there is, cars and houses that you can buy, then that is labeled as success. But internally, there's depression. Internally, there's anxiety. And so together as a society, we have made the secondary world as the primary world. And we've completely forgotten about the primary world, which is the world of souls, which is the inside world. Hence, hence what we discussed today is that sky belongs to eagles. So the supreme sky, the soul world, belongs to the souls. Primary mission is for me to stabilize, be stable in that zone. For me to see that, there's no pull, there's no gravitational pull in this physical world. And for this, we need to get our perspective right. The physical world is a secondary world. Anything happening at the level of Harry, Peter, Nancy, that's secondary. Everything happening at the level of Ananya is secondary. Primary is for the soul to be free. And this separates, this separates our reaction. This naturally devalues what's happening in the secondary world, or secondary, not that important. And another good point is obstacles. Who's creating obstacles? Who is creating obstacles? My own mind, when creating a desire, is creating obstacles. This is very deep, very, very deep. There is no obstacle outside, no obstacle. So deep. First, to accept this. All the obstacles that I've faced so far, all the people that, I label as problem, all the personalities that I label as problems, all the situations that I have labeled as problems. Yeah, all of that, had just one seed, which was my desire for the situation to be in a certain way, my desire from this personality, from this role to be a certain way. And so there is no problem outside. It's only our own desires that are obstacles. Very, very deep. For a spiritually wise being, and for someone who's very wise, they'll accept this, they'll understand this point. So any reflections, any thoughts here? Yes.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I got a question. So, does that mean we need to accept other person or the situation as it is, or other person's desire or their expectation um, for the role that you have to be this way or you have to fulfill this when I don't follow my desire?
Yes. Yes, we have to. That's a very nice, question. And to accept that other person's desire for me to be in a certain way, or for this role to be in a certain way, as much as I can adjust, in this role, I'm willing to adjust, that's okay. But we have to be we can only deal with our own desires. Someone else's desire is always their problem. Any desire that sooner or later each one has to realize that our desires are our own problem. Others desiring something from this role is not my problem. I make it my problem when I have a desire that you don't expect this from me. Don't expect this from me. And so that's how I make their problem into my problem. So they are free to have a lot of desires. They are free to, um, expect my role to be in a certain way. And so they are free to do that. And let me accept, this fact that they are free. And so I allow myself, every energy, every soul is a energy, and having mercy on our own self, having mercy on our own self as a point, to not take so much burden on. And so we really, the only way to help someone else who has desires is for me to not have desires. You know, the more I give up on my desires, then naturally I can empower the souls around me to not have desires. Yeah.
So that means if we are not comfortable, we can say no to
Yes.
fulfill their desire.
Yes. Yes.
So when we say no, doesn't that mean that I'm also fulfilling my desire as well?
Um, my necessarily our we have to check for our own desires. That can be true, but we have to check for our own desires. Is it from is it based on ego? Is it based on is it based on the what we discussed today? The primary mission for the soul is to fly. And so if I'm saying no or yes, that has to be a personal checking. That is my aim clear? If my aim is just to for the role to be comfortable, or for the role to be in a certain way, or saying no allows me to have less thoughts. Saying no allows me to be free mentally, you know. And so that we have to see. Sometimes when we say no, even after saying no, their reaction and their behavior keeps affecting us. And so we have to be very clear when we say no, it's for me to check my own attachments. Yeah? But if I'm saying yes with an attachment to make peace in that situation, make temporary peace, I know that if I say yes, there won't be any chaos. The other person is satisfied. But are they satisfied? Are they really satisfied? Or is it just the ego, being um, actually we feed the ego. So saying yes or no, not feeding others' ego, not feeding my own ego, my own false identities. So if I'm saying yes to anything, if that's feeding someone else's ego, I have to be, clear about that I'm doing this for myself, not for this. And if I am saying no, again, I have to be clear that in no way that I'm feeding someone else's ego, department of ego, and nor that I'm feeding my own false identities. So that is an internal checking. Feeding soul consciousness, not ego consciousness. In simple words, feeding the eagle, not the ant. And so if I'm doing anything that is feeding the ant, feeding the in this case Nancy consciousness, then again sooner or later it will again be a problem. So only nourishing the soul consciousness. So it's a deep checking for us. Yes, how to practice guest consciousness? Yeah, by using the perspective of the guest, how a guest thinks, how he sees, that is using guest consciousness. As the personality of character is not me, then how to know exactly quality personality of mine? Only knowing few things doesn't feel enough. Yeah, anything related to my true personality is not experienced through knowing, because as you said, knowing few things doesn't is not enough. And so knowing you are a soul, knowing soul is peaceful, powerful, it won't be enough till you experience it, till you accept that I'm a soul and I am being referred here. And what comes after experience is your own thing, and nobody outside can explain it. This is the homework that we have to do for our own self. No one can tell you, the soul is like this, like that, and give you 100 points so that it's easy for you to experience you are a soul. You have to do it for your own self by practicing. That's why Baba gives us some, pointers. He gives us some basic points, and the one who plays with those points, they go deeper into the experience of who I actually am. So listening and knowing is never enough. It's never going to be enough. Listening and knowing actually does probably 0.1% of the, homework. It's actually after listening and knowing that we have to practice, we have to accept. The more we practice, we experience. But here, someone has said that it's slippery while listening classes or Murli. It looks easy, but here and there something comes so that we get caught up. Yeah, but progress is there, no doubt. Yeah. Again, we have to be very clear that nothing comes outside, here and there. Whatever is coming up here and there outside is showing me what is inside, the desires and expectations and the attachments I am holding on to inside. So externally, people, situations, they're all showing me something inside. This question about saying yes or no. We might say no to one person, but I am not able to say no to 5 other people. And so it's a matter of convenience. If I'm able to say the same thing to 100 people, then this is coming from the true state. So ordinarily we will feel this one person is difficult, that's why I have to say no to them, but these 5 people are nice, I can't say no to them. But it's all me, it's all my mindset. So I am being given an opportunity to check my mindset. Why is it difficult for me to say no here? Why is it easy for me to say no here? It's because of my own attachments. So primary mission is to fly, and in that flying, remove attachments. It's not about yes and no outside. It's showing me why I'm finding some personality is difficult and I can, act in a certain way, but with others, I can't act that way. So this behavior change shows me my own identities. Let's just create a minute of silence. Shanti.